Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming to this talk this late of the day. And I hope you all had a wonderful day and you have been enjoying this festival. I think it's a really wonderful environment and really unique. And this topic is going to be a bit more difficult to talk about than the joy and happiness of veganism and this diet and this lifestyle. But apart from the bad news I will have to share, I will also give you hope. And I will also hope to inspire you and encourage you and empower you. Okay, so I never really talk about myself during these presentations, but I feel like I owe to share who I am and what puts me in the position to share anything about what I'm going to speak about. So my name is Dora Hargitai. I was born in Hungary, and I am a mechanical engineer. I worked in the oil and gas industry for quite a few years, and through a funny twist of life, I ended up in sustainability and animal rights activism. Last year in April, just by curiosity, I went to the Extinction Rebellion camp out to Marble Arch. And from that moment, my life has changed and turned around. And now I'm an advocate for Animal Rebellion. And I would like to share with you what Animal Rebellion is and what we plan for October. So first of all, let's jump straight into the middle of everything. You guys probably know what happened yesterday. The 20th of September was global climate strike. Entire London and I think about 150 cities around the world, but countries, but please correct me if I'm wrong, protested. Children skip school, adults skip work to go to the streets and address climate emergency. So on May the 1st, 2019, the UK government declared climate emergency. It means that our government, after many, many years of ignorance to this topic, finally acknowledged that there is indeed a climate emergency that requires immediate action. This is huge, but I think we all wonder why it hasn't been on the surface before, if it's really such an urgent topic. And there are some dates on these slides. For many, many years, scientists have been issuing warnings to our entire world that there is indeed a serious issue that we have to think of. 1992, there was a major study released, has been ignored by the government completely. You probably heard about the IPCC. This is a big buzzword right now. It's the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change. And they have received 2 warnings. The first one was completely ignored. The second one was signed by over 26,000 scientists by now, I think. It was 22 at the time I made this slide. The last warning was issued in October last year. And I was one of those people who ignored it completely. However, Extinction Rebellion didn't. And that's how the disruption started in London, which you probably heard about. If not, I will speak about it later on. But let's see what climate emergency means. This is something that is in the back of our mind a lot. We know that we have to use less plastic and be careful with our travels, but why do we actually do that? What is the extent of the issue? What does it really mean? So I'm going to go through a couple of slides to explain what climate emergency actually means, and these are just a few examples to the extent of the problem. Let's see one of the most serious issues that we are facing right now, and that is the melting of the Arctic. I'm going to turn a little bit. So the Arctic is undoubtedly melting, and there's no one in the scientific field who does that anymore. More than 75% has already melted away. Why it is so dangerous? We know that as ice melts, the sea levels rise. Imagine the UK is an island. Once sea levels rise, our imports get impossible to receive. And of course, our exports are impossible as well. But let's take a look why it is actually so devastating. The melting of the Arctic ice is a positive feedback loop in nature. That means the more ice melts, the more black surface of the sea level gets exposed. Now, black is a color that has a nature of absorbing heat. So the more ice melts, the more heat the water absorbs, and the more the planet warms up, and then more ice melts again. So the danger of this situation is this keeps rolling ahead. And as you can see on that slide, on that graph on the right side, this is where we are right now. This is an unstoppable loop. Temperature rise. You probably heard of global temperature rising. Right now, we are at 1.1 degrees centigrade over pre-industrial levels. And what does it mean? Again, 1.1 degrees doesn't sound very serious. However, if you look at this graph on the right side, you can see that 1.1 degrees Celsius is actually a major increase that has happened and hasn't happened in the past millions of years. Now, according to the Paris Agreement, we should stay below 2 degrees Celsius. But we absolutely have to be more ambitious than that. And if we do not achieve to stay at this level as much as possible, we are going to be in a very, very devastating position. I'm going to show on the next slide what 2 degrees means and why I'm so passionate about not accepting 2 degrees Celsius as a goal and a target. So at 2 degrees centigrade increase above pre-industrial levels, we are looking at massive flooding, drought, intense storms, crop failure. You're looking at the melting of glaciers. When we say crop failure, we can think of days when there were no courgettes in the United Kingdom. It happened a couple of years ago. But what it looks like at 2 degrees centigrade, it means we have food shortage for us, and we cannot feed our families and our children. If we are looking at the extent of this issue at 3 degrees centigrade, we are looking at an unimaginable situation. And what it means when we have no food, we have no access to water, when transportation is a problem, we are looking at a collapse of our society, a collapse of our economy and the political system. If we live in a world where we starve and have no way of going to hospitals or schools, we will not have the chance to take care of ourselves, of the animals we care about, to thrive, to go to school, to go to work. This is what the collapse of society means, and that is what is waiting for us. And if you look at the dates, we are in 2019 at 1.1 degrees centigrade, and if you see what 2 degrees Celsius means, you're looking at 2025. And if you look at 3 degrees centigrade, that's about 2050. So this is very well our lifetime. And this is why we are so passionate about talking about climate change and bringing it to all of you guys. CO2 in the atmosphere, you guys hear a lot about CO2, and I know it's really annoying because as animal rights people or vegan people or people interested in this subject know that methane is far more dangerous and potent than CO2. However, in the scientific field, CO2 is measured as one of the boundary points of climate change. It has been set as 350 parts per million. We have exceeded that already. Today, we are at 411 parts per million. So what is the essence of these is that we have already exceeded those limits that have been set by science in many, many parts of the climate scene. But what are the causes of this whole issue? There is not one single issue that causes climate emergency and climate change. It is a range of complex, interconnected issues. One of them that shouldn't be ignored is animal agriculture, which is one of the leading causes of climate change. But I think what is very important for all of us to understand is that climate change is not a natural reaction. Climate has been changing throughout the history of the planet, but not as it does today. We are entering, and we have entered, the time of Anthropocene. This is a time of the planet that has been caused by humans. So climate change is entirely human-induced. That is devastating, but it's also hopeful, because it means if we cause the problem, we can stop the problem still, and we have time. Now we are looking at, as I mentioned before, animal agriculture, fishing, deforestation because of cattle grazing, fossil fuels taken from the ground, overuse of resources, our obsession with plastics and consumption. Our whole political and cultural system that is set up for using as much as we can, taking as much as we can, leads us to the situation where we are in right now. And as I said before, it is leading to social, economical, political collapse, but also leads to massive animal suffering. As I mentioned before, if we suffer, we cannot help animals anymore. So saving ourselves is not a selfish act. Saving us is saving everybody else. So let's take a look at why animal culture is such a strain on the planet. As I said before, animal culture is the leading cause of climate change. According to sources, it's somewhere in between 18% to 51% in terms of all greenhouse gas emissions on the planet. It is the leading cause of habitat destruction, land use, water use. It's a massive chemical pollutant, ocean acidification, and greenhouse gases, as I mentioned before. And there is a picture over there, which is from the Amazon rainforest. You guys probably know that the Amazon has been burning since January this year, and is still burning in these seconds. This is not a natural fire. It has been set by farmers because of the planet's appetite for meat, and especially for beef. These farmers are essentially pushed and forced into burning up their forest because they need to feed these animals, they need to graze these animals. There is a twist on the slides, but so the Oxford University released a major study recently, and they reviewed it for 5 years. Over 570 studies were covered, and they looked at around 38,000 farms, and they wanted to take a look at what our diet means for our environment, what are the emissions. And the results of the study is actually quite shocking. If you look at this graph, which is, I'm sorry, it has been a bit twisted, but if you look at the bottom of this graph, it's all plant products. So we're looking at nuts, peas, beans, tofu, and so on, the other plant-based products. And their emissions, greenhouse gas, acidification, land use, and so forth, are quite small. But if you look at everything below, all animal products are hitting the end scale of all of these environmental aspects. So the study also found that if only we transferred into a plant-based food system and a plant-based diet for the planet, we could actually release 76% of the land on the planet. We could release 19% of arable land. We could reduce greenhouse gases by 46%. We could reduce acidification by 50%, and there are some other numbers. But the point is, we need a plant-based food system to sustain this planet. And we have everything already available today to thrive and live for all of us, all the 7.9 billion people. Sorry, I'm not sure if there's a right number, but about that. To sustain everybody and feed everybody. Yet everything goes to the top 10%, 2%, and the rest of society starves and is in a very bad position right now. You must have heard about the 6th mass extinction on the planet. Well, this is going on right now. There have been mass extinction in the history of the planet before, but this one has been caused by human activity. If you look at this picture on the right side, it's actually quite shocking. 60% of all mammals on this planet are today livestock. I really hate this word because it says that animals are stock, but this is how the industry calls cows and pigs and chicken. 36% are humans, and only 4% are wild animals. The 6th mass extinction means that about 200 species die every single day. And this is one of those processes that just keeps rolling, and we don't really realize. When insects die, when small animals die, we don't really pay attention. But now that the giraffes are endangered species, suddenly we seem to wake up. But I would like to encourage everybody to wake up to any animal extinction, because we are animals as well, and we are going to die with them. And we are also looking at individuals here. I just put a photo of a hedgehog and a bird. Mass extinction means mass suffering of individuals who are capable of feeling sad and feeling happy and understand that they are alive and want to be alive. Losing billions of species means losing billions of lives, and we are responsible for that. This photo is from the New York Times, and it says, "The insect apocalypse is here." We all heard about the bees and how important they are for us, but I think we still don't fully comprehend to the importance of not only bees, but all insects. They do a great job for us, unpaid. They pollinate the food that we eat. Without these insects, our food supply is going to be stopped and we will be starving. Fishing is also overlooked. And I used to be a pescatarian vegetarian. I had no idea why fishing is so bad. But if you look at some of these numbers, the reality of fishing is quite shocking. The way fishing in the oceans works is they spread a huge net into the ocean and just scoop it, like you would scoop a scoop of ice cream and take everything out of the ocean. So with all the fish they intend to take, they also take whales and dolphins and crabs and all kind of species. Now, these species are not going to be, these individuals will not be released back. They are going to be killed, and they are considered as byproducts of this process. And also, let's talk about how it contributes to plastic pollutions. About 46% of all plastic in the ocean comes from the boats, the fisher boats. So, where do we go from here? There is a climate emergency, there's an energy emergency, and we need to do something about this. So as I said before, I went to Marble Arch to join Extinction Rebellion in April. Extinction Rebellion is a mass, nonviolent, direct action movement, and they said, we have to do something about climate emergency. And they came up with the idea of following the success of previous social justice movements and apply nonviolent direct action to force the government to take this seriously, finally. Inspired by Extinction Rebellion, Animal Rebellion was born. From the 7th of October, Extinction Rebellion invites every single movement to join the movements of movements to ask the government to implement systemic changes that will help us finding the solutions. One of these movements is going to be Animal Rebellion. And this photo here is one I really like to share because it's from the start of Animal Rebellion. You can see about 20 animal justice organizations on this photo, along with Roger Hallam, who is the co-founder of Extinction Rebellion. Through many, many meetings and discussions and planning, we formed an alliance with Extinction Rebellion, and we are going to work together in the future. So as I said before, our strategy is aligned with Extinction Rebellion strategy. We are a rapid mass movement. We are absolutely non-violent. At no point we engage in any violence, not in words and not in actions either. To achieve systemic change, there are 4 criteria that we will meet. The first one is we need to disrupt the capital of the city. We need to disrupt the capital of the city in numbers, as many people as possible. We need to stay there for as long as we can, and we need to stay nonviolent. Only by following these 4 simple rules, any movement has ever been successful enough to achieve systemic change. I would love to know about a different method without having to go out in October and camp in the cold and get sick. But unfortunately, there is no time, and there is no other way that is known to us. So the vision is, in October, we are going to mobilize 10,000 people to join Animal Rebellion. And on top of the 10,000, there are going to be all the other movements. So Extinction Rebellion, the Doctors for Extinction Rebellion, the guys who stand up against fast fashion, the youth, mothers, elders, any movement who is in any way interested in joining this movement. Well, we do expect backlash, and we get this question a lot. We are going to go to Smithfield Market, which is known for being a very famous and historical meat market. And we get asked a lot, but how are you going to manage that? Because you're going to get so much backlash. We know that. And we anticipate and we welcome that. And if you look back in history, there hasn't been a time when nonviolent direct action was fully accepted by society. In fact, no flag should touch the floor, right? In fact, if we look at any history, we can see that there has been more backlash than support. And this image shows how, at the time of the Freedom Riders, the public perceived their activity. The Freedom Riders were 13 outstanding individuals who were fighting against the segregation of black and white people. And they rode a bus together, standing up against the segregation, despite the laws that prohibited them to do so. And according to this survey at that time, about 57% of the population said that doing this will actually harm their cause. And if you look at any other similar statistics, you will see that the majority of the population always opposed nonviolent direct action. However, we can also see that the consistency of nonviolent direct action has always achieved the goal. And we're looking at a quite popular gentleman here. You probably know Martin Luther King, who is a famous example for successful nonviolent direct action. And he said, I'm going to read this up. We who engage in nonviolent direct action are not the creators of the tension. We merely bring to the surface the hidden tension that is already alive. We bring it out in the open, where it can be seen and dealt with. And that's our motivation. That's what we are going to do. So what is left behind for me is to invite all of you to join the rebellion from the 7th of October until the 19th of October. As I said before, we are going to occupy Smithfield Market. Feel free to come along for any time you want. If you just want to come and stay with us for a couple of hours, that's perfect. If you want to get involved a bit more, that's perfect as well. Any support is welcome, and we are a non-judgmental movement. And I want to say a bit more about what we stand for. But before that, I'm going to speak about the relationship with Extinction Rebellion. We get this question a lot. So we have a memorandum of understanding with Extinction Rebellion. We are going to support each other, and we are going to share resources and information. Extinction Rebellion researched social justice movements for many, many years, and that is the reason why they have been so successful. Now we are going to capitalize on all these resources and all this information, but we are going to also support them. These are a few headlines from a couple of magazines that you probably all know. The Guardian, The Independent, or Sentient Media has all covered Animal Rebellion on their platforms. And I also want to show you a couple of people as well who are very supportive to this movement. You can see, you probably know Earthling Ed, and that photo is one of my favorites. That's the historical moment when he said he's going to support Animal Rebellion. And a few weeks after this, the Animal Rights March disrupted Trafalgar Square for 45 minutes with 12,000 people. And then you can also see Joy Carpstrong, George Monbiot, or the vegan couple who are also in support, and they will be there in October. Right, so what do we demand? The first demand to the government is tell the truth, and we understand that the truth cannot be told until we don't speak about the effect of animal agriculture. We also demand that the government also acts on this truth. We demand net zero carbon emissions by 2025, but we understand that this goal is not achievable until we consider animal culture as a fact and addition to this. And beyond politics, we also demand that the issue of animal farming is at the discussion table. We follow the 10 principles of Extinction Rebellion. We are an anti-speciesist movement that has a shared vision for change. We also set our mission on what is necessary. We go beyond what's possible, and we understand the emergency, so we'll do whatever we have to do. We also need a regenerative culture. We need an environment where people can thrive no matter where they come from. They can recharge and they can find home and friendship. We also openly challenge ourselves and our toxic system. We understand that no individual is to blame. We were all born in a toxic system, and we are going to work together to detox it. We also value reflecting and learning. Being an animal rights activist myself, it has been hard to open up to other issues, but I had to understand that climate change has multiple sources, and so to tackle this, we must be open to other aspects of this issue as we share what we know as well. We welcome everyone and every part of everyone. Animal Rebellion is not only for the energetic, loud, and activisty people. It's for every single person. So if you are a cook, or if you love drawing, or if you like singing, or if you have any knowledge to share, we need you. Because climate change affects everyone, so we need everyone to come and help us. We actively mitigate for power. We have no bosses. There is no hierarchy in our understanding. Anyone and everyone can take initiative and lead action and ideas. We also avoid blaming and shaming. We are nonviolent, and we are based on autonomy and decentralization. So how are we going to be on the streets with people who are not vegans and who don't share the same ideas as we are? We are going to stay respectful. We are going to trust each other, that we will stay respectful. We will focus on what unites us as we talk about our differences openly and kindly. We will also stay open to the things that we can and should learn. And we are also going to have plenty of fun. We are planning for being rebels for a long time. It is not just a march where we go and come back home. We are going to stay there for 2 weeks, and we will have to keep coming back as long as we don't have a change that will facilitate human and non-human life on this planet forever. All right, so what can you do? As I said before, we welcome and need every single person. Depending on your willingness of engagement, we have multiple options. First of all, we recommend that anyone who joins us takes the NVDA, Nonviolent Direct Action Training. This will empower you and give you confidence in knowing what you can do and understand also your position in terms of disrupting a city. What does it mean? Why would I do that? How do they feel about that? It really helps people going through that process and then go confidently to the place of disruption. Well, you can also choose to get arrested. I'm not telling anyone to get arrested. It's a personal choice. But if we look back at April 2019 and the 1,100 arrests that happened during the 11 days of Extinction Rebellion disruption, if 1,100 people didn't choose to get arrested, everything that happened wouldn't have gotten into the news. It only became such a big, big thing for the entire world because all these people decided to make this sacrifice. I put quit your job, it sounds really harsh. Again, this is not something I ask you to do, it's an option. Currently, we have 12 people at the Animal Rebellion headquarters who work full-time. They all had different things to do and other priorities and their personal lives and their career path and so on. But they woke up to the emergency and they said, there's nothing more important than working full-time for this movement. If you spread the word, we are extremely thankful. And that is something that we can all do, and we really appreciate if you do so as well. You can also start your own group. As I said before, we are a decentralized movement. So whatever city you live in, feel free and empowered to start your own enemy rebellion. You can help in so many ways. You can help organizing, with administration, with setting up events, with talking. If you're a better talker than me, please do join us. We need talkers as well. You can also help bringing joy and leisure and fun to the October Rebellion. You can also stay in the background and help us with IT, design, and well, anything, any creative idea you have in mind, do come and share it with us. And I would ask all of you, if you feel that this presentation touched you at any level, please do visit our website. It's enemyrebellion.org. There's a volunteer form that you can fill in. Or if you don't feel like going online, there's going to be a sign-up sheet on this table. So please do feel free to come around and put your name and email down. The only thing you're going to receive is a sign-up sheet and a few words about who we are. So don't be scared, we're not going to send it to the RST team. Right, and if you also want to support us with a donation, that's also more than welcome. Right now, Enemy Rebels don't receive anything else but the donations that people give to them. And there are just a few examples of cities where we already have Enemy Rebel groups. This is actually a list as of 2 weeks ago, and since then it grew massively. I asked our coordinator yesterday, and we have over 40 cities already signed up and leading Enemy Rebellion groups. So thank you so much for listening to this again. And if you're interested and you want to chat, please do come and let's talk. And please do sign up to our sign-up sheet. And I'm also going to, I think I have, yes. There's a little glass jar over there. If you feel like you would be open to donate to Enemy Rebellion, please feel free to just put a quid. And we will really appreciate that. All right, thank you so much again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Questions? Is there any questions?